Now, delighted to have joining us now from Victoria, Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson. Well, actually, she's not in Victoria at the moment. You're in Perth, so thank you for getting up so early, Sarah, to chat to us. I guess with lots we can talk about, but I do quickly want to get your thoughts on what Rita was just saying about Victorian crime. I mean, it is a disgrace. What are the Liberals proposing to do about it?
Well, Rowan, good morning, and it is an absolute disgrace. We have a full-blown crime crisis in Victoria. I saw this firsthand when 5 teenage kids went on a deathly joyride which could have killed themselves and others. They crashed in front of my office, and then a couple of hours later they were posting their crimes on social media. I mean, we've seen so many horrific crimes. Car theft is up 42%. Aggravated burgs are up something like 22%, and Jacinta Allen is sitting on her hands. Brad Batten and the Liberal National Opposition have a great suite of policies, including break bail, face jail, and we need tougher laws in this state because crime is out of control.
James.
Absolutely it is, and it is a disgrace to see how some try and apologise and talk down the crime and say it's actually not that big a deal. But also want to ask you, Senator, about this ongoing controversy with Kevin Rudd's ambassadorship. We saw Donald Trump came out overnight with some lines about not forgetting, and we also saw the opposition leader wind up a press conference rather extraordinarily when asked about her position on it. But tell us your thoughts on Kevin Rudd and his future as ambassador.
Well, James, firstly, let me say that it was an important moment for Team Australia in the national interest. The meeting between the Prime Minister and President Trump did go well. There was a very important announcement made about critical minerals. Of course, AUKUS was also confirmed after the administration's review, but we did not get any good news on the crippling tariffs on steel and aluminium, and that was pretty disappointing. But I have to say, James, it goes to the Prime Minister's judgment that Kevin Rudd was appointed as ambassador in the first place because it was well known what he said. He made some terrible comments about the President, and the President, as he's made very clear, has not forgotten, will not forget. But I do have a bit of an exclusive piece of news for you, because I have been told on very reliable sources that Richard Marles, the Minister of Defence, and the Deputy Prime Minister met with the Minister for Trade, Don Farrell, last November, of course, when the President won the election, and discussed replacing Kevin Rudd as ambassador. And their preferred candidate was Stephen Conroy. Now, of course, Mr Marles, Minister Farrell and Stephen Conroy all sit very much on the right of the Labor Party. They obviously had some concerns, but I think we need to know more about this meeting. I'm not sure whether it happened in person or by phone, but I was certainly told on very reliable sources, I should say, that they were very concerned and they discussed replacing Kevin Rudd.
Rita.
Well, what power does Kevin Rudd wield that they would keep him in that role, knowing what he has said about the President and the obstacle he poses to having the best sort of relationship you can have with our biggest ally? What power does Kevin Rudd have over the Prime Minister? And even when he did this deal, which was something to be applauded, the conversation has been all about Kevin Rudd. Surely Anthony Albanese isn't happy about that. No one's talking about Anthony Albanese. It's all about Kevin Rudd.
Well, I think, Rita, it goes back to the Prime Minister's judgment. I don't think he should have put Kevin Rudd in that position in the first place, given the scathing things that he said about President Trump. I mean, that's just an untenable situation. It was always going to boil to the surface. In fact, I raised these questions directly with Minister Farrell in Senate estimates about whether the relationship had improved. We knew it was, of course, what Kevin Rudd said, but it really, as I say, does go to the Prime Minister's judgment. Perhaps, Rita, he wanted to get Kevin Rudd out of Australia so he wouldn't be meddling in domestic politics.
Yes.
So maybe the Prime Minister, Albanese, thought that that was a good idea. But I think now we do need to know exactly what discussions were had last November about this discussion, about this proposal to replace Kevin Rudd. But certainly this has not gone well for Australia. And now, of course, we've heard the President is questioning the appointment and making it very clear that when America appoint an ambassador to Australia, they will consult and it will be someone that our Prime Minister likes. So that's a pretty strong hint.
And Sarah, initially, I mean, one remembers these things because they were important at the time. Initially, Peter Dutton was saying, what on earth are we appointing Kevin Rudd for? What a disaster. The bloke's a disaster, quite correctly. Then, during the election campaign, much to my horror, Peter Dutton did a complete backflip and said, oh, no, I'll keep Kevin Rudd if we win election. Susan Ley, completely correctly, and I absolutely support her for saying it, came out after the meeting the other morning and said, what are we doing with Kevin Rudd there? He's clearly not in the national interest. And that is an ambassador's sole role, is the national interest. So what on earth is Kevin Rudd doing there? And then it appeared 24 hours later, the dreadful whoever backroom boys had got in her ear, and suddenly it was, oh, no, I don't know what she was saying. But can we please have a clear coalition position that we do not want people who are antagonistic to our key allies to be in ambassadorial roles? And the fact that even Labor... Now, are your sources within the Labor Party who are telling you that this meeting or these phone calls took place to decide whether Kevin Rudd should stay or go? Should he go or should he stay? Were they within the Labor Party, Sarah?
Yes, they are within the right of the Labor Party. So I'm interested to hear more about this, but clearly last year when the President won the election there was a lot of concern. I mean, one thing is very clear about the Coalition's position, Rowan. We would never have appointed Kevin Rudd as ambassador. That is very clear. And quite disgracefully, in the lead up to the election, we saw how Labor weaponised our relationship with Donald Trump. There was a deliberate attempt to talk him down, to denigrate him, to denigrate the administration for blatant political purposes. And now, of course, the Prime Minister is scrambling to make up all that lost ground, which I do think has done Australia some damage. So it's very clear we would never have put him in the job.
And can I quickly ask, we've got a couple more questions, was it a mistake, in your view, for the Coalition in the last election campaign to distance itself from Donald Trump rather than embracing the new Trump administration?
Well, I think what happened in the last election campaign is that we were hit with so many horrendous lies, and I think that did not do our relationship with the United States any good at all. It was unacceptable that Labor weaponised our relationship with our most important ally. And, you know, these are very serious times, Rowan. We are facing an existential threat, security threat to our country and to the region. And it is more important than ever before that we have the best possible relationship with the United States. And I think it's fair to say that Labor actively went about trying to imperil that relationship in the lead up to the election.
James.
Absolutely. Hey, just on another issue, Rita was speaking before about that ding-dong between David Crisafulli and the Victorians here. Another story has popped up this week here where Queensland's Minister for Women, Fiona Simpson, has said something. Now, I don't know if the E-Safety Commissioner would let her put this on X, but defined a woman as, get this, an adult female human being. Now, this is some shocking good sense here. I'd love to get your reaction on this outbreak of sanity in Queensland. Should the Victorian Liberals also go and say this is the case? And also on a federal level, is this something that, you know, despite all the accusations of being a culture war, this seems like common sense? Should this be embraced?
It absolutely should be embraced. We have seen so much insanity on this issue. I congratulate the Queensland Government for making it very clear that, yes, we are adult, female, human beings. And I want to see that sort of determination made in every state and territory and, of course, also at a Commonwealth level. We saw the nonsense with the Australian Human Rights Commission not able to determine what a biological man is. And, in fact, what's happened with the way that the definition of a woman has now basically almost been scrubbed out of Commonwealth law, is that the safety of women and the protection of women has been compromised. Women-only spaces, women playing in women's-only sport. It is completely out of control, and that's why, and I have called for this a number of times, I want to see common sense return, and congratulations to the Queensland Government, also to the First Minister of the Northern Territory, Leah Finocchiaro, who has made it very clear that there will be no biological men in women's jails, and that must be the position around the country.
Hear, hear. And just very quickly, Sarah, 20 seconds. There's a meeting later in the week, apparently, with backbenchers or others of the coalition to talk about net zero. What will you be saying in that meeting?
No net zero laws for this country. They are driving up power prices, they are making our energy grid more unreliable, and they are doing nothing to affect global emissions. It's a nonsense, Rowan. We need to turn our back on net zero. These targets are a nonsense. The 2035 target has 4 separate carbon taxes embedded into it, on farmers' land, on vehicles, on industry, on electricity. And now, thank goodness, Australians are seeing what's happened as a result. Power prices are going up, and this, I would have to say, is the worst policy failure I have seen in living memory in this country.
Hear, hear, Sarah Henderson. Fantastic words. I wish I were in that meeting with you. Love to hear that. Fantastic stuff. Sarah Henderson, Liberal Senator from Victoria there. What great words on so many issues there.